Hey everybody, Bones here, Bones Garage, just bringing you an update what's going on at the garage. So, 1959 Cadillac, driver's side, front brake. We now have the brake, the drum all cut nice and smooth. It really is beautiful. We have the new bearings in there, all packed and ready to go. That's the inner bearing, which is the larger of the two. This is the outer bearing, which goes on the front side. It goes down over here. These are what the old bearings look like, and these are a nice one because this has a metal cage that holds it together. So we'll pack that up. We'll take some of this really heavy duty bearing grease and get it all inside, in between all the nooks and crannies of the bearing. We'll grease all of this up, get it inside all the nooks and crannies, and get all this greased up. So it'll basically look like this. And then you can see we even put a nice layer of grease inside the drum hub right there. And one of the reasons I did the bearings is when I was cleaning everything out, getting all the old grease out, that came out. And that made me go, something has gone afoul. So as I was banging the race out, which is this right here, as I was banging that out of here, the whole thing just split, completely busted. And I was like, okay, yeah, this really needed to be done. So yeah, so we're doing it. These were a cheaper bearing and race, because at the time, which was about, I don't know, 100 years ago, it seemed like, that these brakes were last done, or these bearings were last done, they were using plastic cages. And actually I have the right side bearing setup sitting over here, and when I took the right side apart and I took the bearing apart, that ball fell out. And you can see this is a plastic cage. This is not a steel cage. I really don't care for the plastic cages for that reason right there. And probably what happened is one of these balls got some dirt and something stuck behind it, or it moved, and it probably took a small chunk out of the race on the other side. I can't say that positively is what happened, but something happened on that other side that caused a chunk of that bearing to fall out. Now, everything on the driver's side looks good. This whole spindle all looked good. I didn't see any premature wearing on the spindle back here where the inner bearing rides on, and this right here is where the grease seal rides on. The inner bearing rides right here, and the outer bearing rides right here, and then your nut goes here with your cotter pin, and then your cap goes over all of that. So I didn't see anything strange there, so I'm not worried about the spindle being bad. I think it was just a Chinese bearing. That's all I think it was, just a junky bearing. It is probably just the reason that it went bad. But you can see we cleaned all the backing plate off. I take a wire brush, brake clean, and I actually physically scrub this whole thing off. Get all the dirt, get all the excess rust off of it, get everything off that's not needed. Then I go in, I take some anti-seize, and all of those pads that I showed you before, I put a little bit of anti-seize on them. And what the anti-seize does is it keeps those pads from rusting. It also helps the brakes slide a little bit, but more than anything, the anti-seize is there to keep that from rusting. Same thing with the adjuster. We put a little bit of anti-seize on these threads. We put a little bit of anti-seize on this cap, which turns, and in between the cap and the washer here, we put a little anti-seize there. So this doesn't seize up, and you can adjust the brakes from time to time to get them right. So there's a lot that goes on with doing brakes on an old car. Another thing that I like to do is I like to close these down a little. So normally this spring will be pointing this way. This little end here will be pointing down this way. I always take them, I take the pliers and I just squeeze them together a little bit. So this way, as the spring is pulling, it's not stressing this piece and making it go like that, because as it stresses, it's going to make this side of the spring want to open up. So that keeps the spring there. And I always put the spring that's pointing down on the outside, for the simple reason it'll hold this spring in place better. It just seems to work better, and that's the way I was taught when I went to school way back in the Stone Age. So there you go, guys. Everything's going nice. We got the new hoses in, we got the new clip on, new seals on the back, new wheel cylinder. Everything is looking really good. We'll give these shoes a nice sand down, because you can see there's plenty of meat on these shoes. There's no reason to really change them. I don't have any big stress or heat cracks in them. They're in good shape still. So we'll leave them alone. We'll just give them a little sanding, get the glaze off of them. Everything should be fine. It saves the customer, if I was to buy the front and the rear shoes with shipping, they come out to about $170 a pair. So yeah, it's expensive. Anything for Cadillac. Everybody thinks that Chrysler is the most. No, Chrysler is not the most expensive. Cadillac is the most expensive car. Everything for Cadillac is stupid expensive, stupid hard to get. We've waited 2.5 weeks for the parts to do these brakes. So there you go, guys. Have fun. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.